Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the June 22nd meeting of the Glendale Elementary School District Governing Board. Ms. Sagata-Jones, is there any changes to the agenda this evening?
Good evening, Governing Board. President Martinez, no, there are not.
All right. With that, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Ms. Pimentel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Bartels, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Please let the minutes show we have 3 out of 5 board members present. Ms. Wilson is going to be away today, and Mr. Jaramillo is currently en route, stuck at the train like we all have been in the past.
Just waiting.
Just waiting. Just waiting. Games are in stock. Thank you. Okay. Are there any calls to the public this afternoon?
No, there are not.
Okay. So moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the agenda?
We didn't do the pledge or this moment of silence.
I just want to get going. The NBA draft is tonight, I'm told. Please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, please rise. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, are there any questions or comments before? With that, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. Ms. Pimentel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Bartels, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. Moving on to reports and information items, principal and teacher evaluation ratings. Ms. Sagata-Jones?
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, at this time I'll turn over to Ms. Debbie Valadez, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, for her presentation.
The presentation this evening of the teacher and principal evaluation ratings that is annually required by statute and our policy to be presented. Thank you. The presentation is the same presentation you've seen every year. Nothing has changed in the evaluation rate, evaluations, nor in statute. The difference will be the number of employees and the rating. So just a reminder, the evaluation consists of the 67% is the evaluation, and then the other 33% is all driven by data. These are the parts of the evaluation. Those are the domains, and then under each domain are the different elements that go with that domain. This is the data used for the data portion. And then this is this year's teacher classification ratings. For the principal, again, 67% is based on the standards, and the 33% in the overall eval is on the data portion. Here's the principal evaluation standards, and again, under each of those are also the elements, the data portion, and the overall ratings of our principals. And I was trying to keep up with Mr. Martinez there to go through that. And that concludes the presentation. Any questions? Thank you. Mr.
Yes.
Jaramillo. Oh,
I had the opportunity to look at this before. So there were a couple of, and just to quote the presentation, ineffective and what was the other term?
let me go back to this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question is, are we reaching out to these educators and getting commentary from them as to how we can help them improve?
Okay, so great question. Mr. Jaramillo, President Martinez, Superintendent Sagata-Jones, and members. So with the evaluation, all continuing teachers are required to have at least one or possibly two. All probationary teachers are required to have 2 observations. If after the first observation or even walk through things, there looks like there may be some concerns or some supports needed in place, there's supports at the school level, there's supports from the principal. If those supports still look like more support may be needed, if there's some indicators not maybe showing support, then there's a support plan put in place. There on that support plan, and teachers on the support plan for approximately at least 4 weeks with supports every week. That's meeting with the principal, that's getting feedback, that's going over the lessons, going over the areas needing support. If after 4 weeks improvement is shown in those areas, if there were other areas needing support, they might start to target those support areas. If after that continuous support in that 4 to 6 week window, there still needs to be, we're not seeing growth, we're not seeing what's needed, then there's an improvement plan. And then that is another 45 days of supports in place, meeting every week, and all that. And then still after that could end up where it's either ineffective, if that's the case, which then results in possible preliminary notice. Notice is given, and all those steps have to be followed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on in our agenda to our action items. Action item number 5A, the proposed expenditure budget. Ms. Sagata-Jones.
Yes, President Martinez, members of the board, this time Ms. Caraveo will give the presentation. Mr. Berrigan is traveling with ASPO and is presenting there this evening in Kentucky.
Okay. Good afternoon, President Martinez, members of the board, Superintendent Sagata-Jones. This evening, afternoon, I said, don't say evening, it's afternoon. This afternoon, I'll be presenting our proposed budget for fiscal year 24. We'll start off with our M&O. Our RCL stayed pretty close to even with last year. Even though our ADM did decrease, there was an increase to the base support level, so that stayed fairly flat. Our override did decrease due to the lower RCL amount, and our budget balance carry forward is estimated to be $6 million, and that number will fluctuate as we go through closing out the year. Adjustments, that is for our energy water savings that we have to pay back, and then our Prop 123 add-on. Here's a look at our ADM over quite a few years. As you can see, the pre-pandemic amounts were estimated by the demographer to be much higher than where we're at even right now. For 2024, we're proposing 8,323 as our ADM, and that is a 4.5% decline, which our demographer also expected us to be at, and we are trending lower than we anticipated. And we'll continue to update those numbers with the demographer as we go. Our unrestricted capital, or DAA, right now we're expecting or estimating a budget balance carry forward of $1.6 million. Our RCL DAA was calculated right at $9 million. And then we have some one-time state aid that we added to DAA. Our truth and taxation notice, the district will be levying $600,000 for adjacent ways, and that requires that we provide the community with a truth and taxation notice. This will be going out in the Glendale Star on June 29th. We do this comparison each year that we do levy from the FY23 notice to the FY24 notice. You can see that even though it appears that we're increasing the tax rate, that it's actually a decline from the previous year. And we will have our public hearing at the July 13th meeting. Here's a look at our proposed tax rate for '24. The primary tax rate is decreasing, and that's based on higher assessed valuations for the district. And due to the lower M&O override, that is a decrease in the tax rate. And then in 22, we did issue new bonds, and so that did cause that area to increase for an overall tax rate increase of about 38 cents. Our DAA, as you know, it was fully restored in 21-22, and that's an increase from last year from that support level of 502 to 549. And we have seen, prior to DAA being fully restored, large amounts of reductions, especially capital funding. Final thoughts, Prop 206, we're estimating that minimum wage will go to $14.35, so a 50-cent increase from where we're at now. The impact isn't as large. The impact's about $145,000 compared to previous year. It was like $500,000 because the increase was so much more. So we'll continue to look at inflation challenges and what that means. We're continuing to keep an eye on the competition and our enrollment and the M&O override. We will be taking that out for election because in July of 2025, if we don't pass the override, we'll lose a third of our funding in M&O, and that's $3 million. And then the subsequent year would be a $6 million loss to M&O. And we'll also be asking voters to approve a bond authorization and capital override. And we are part of the capital lawsuit. We are one of several plaintiffs, and we will continue to use ESSER 3 funds. They expire next September to maintain solvency for the district. With that, that's all I have. Are there any questions?
No questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carrillo.
There's no questions. Is there a motion to approve the proposed expenditure budget?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed expenditure budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Jaramillo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Bartels, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. Moving on to action item 5B, the employment of new assistant principal, Ms. Segata-Jones.
Yes, President Martinez, members of the board, it is recommended the governing board approve the employment of Ms. Christy Luke as assistant principal of Landmark School, salary and benefits commensurate with other assistant principals.
And I believe Ms. Luke is out of...
Ms. Luke is here.
Oh, she is there. Okay.
She got in last week. We need a vote
They're
first.
clapping too soon. You're supposed to wait for the vote.
So premature here. Are there any comments or questions from the board? All right, with that, is there a motion to approve the employment of Ms. Christy Luke?
I'll make a motion to approve the employment of Ms. Christy Luke as assistant principal of Landmark School.
Second.
All right, Mr. Jaramillo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Bartels, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Congratulations.
Welcome.
Now you have to run a lap, as is tradition. All right. Moving on in our agenda item, action item 5C, policy revision, second reading. Ms. Sagata-Jones?
Yes, President Martinez, members of the board, it's recommended the governing board approve the second reading and adoption of revised policy listed below as presented: IGA, curriculum development; IGD, curriculum adoption; IJJ, textbook supplementary materials selection and adoption; and JLCD, medicines, administering medicines to students.
Are there any questions or comments on the four policies for the second reading?
Yes. I just want to know, I read the rationale, but what is the reason for this policy revision exactly?
This comes from the recommendation of ASBA, and they've either added language or changed, made revisions. We are in compliance with each of these already.
It's to remain in compliance with state law, or?
Yes, this comes from ASBA. So ASBA is who we receive our policy advisories from.
Okay, and how does it change from how we operated before this policy to now?
With each one, we can go through the IJ curriculum development. Ms. Hadagi, were there changes?
Yes, the main change for the IGA curriculum development and the IJJ textbook supplementary materials selections and adoption is that although we were already posting this, is to follow the open meeting law for when you have a committee get together to look at curriculum adoption materials. So that means you have to give notice, 24-hour notice, post an agenda 24 hours before, and allow public to attend, listen, tape record, and videotape if they would like. And we've done that in the past, so when we've done a curriculum adoption, we just did two previously, and we did post 24 hours in advance, give notice, and make sure everybody knew when our meetings were so that if they wanted to, they could attend, come, listen, observe. So we've been following that before, but now there's just that specific change for these particular policies.
Okay, it's just putting it in writing?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Medicines and administering medicines to students, Dr. Lafitte.
So, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Jaramillo, so the changes that have taken place in that policy is primarily students can now carry their own inhalers. Previously, those had to be stored in the nurse's office, and now students can carry those as long as there's some sort of label on that inhaler. Also, seizure management. There's a structured format in place now for seizure management that didn't exist before. So the state has a template that is now going out across all districts within the state.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Is there a motion to adopt the second reading?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of revised policies listed below: IGA, IGD, IJJ, and JLCD.
Second.
Mr. Jaramillo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Bartels, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. Moving on to item 6A, future meeting and agenda item requests. Ms. Sagata-Jones, what's coming up?
Yes, Mr. Martinez, members of the board, July 13th, we will do the expenditure budget. We'll do SFB capital plan. We'll do an agreement to provide meals, and then a renewal, and then 22-23 state assessment data. We're hoping to have July 10th, I believe, is when we will receive our ELL data. And once we have that data, then we will be able to do the final calculations of letter grades and present that data to the board. With that July 13th meeting, we have several traveling to NELO, the conference. So I believe Board Member Jaramillo, Board Member Pimentel, myself, Assistant Superintendent Hadagi, and Director of Communications Parsons will be traveling. Assistant Superintendent Hadagi, myself, and Director Parsons will be back in time for that board meeting, pending no cancellations of flights. And I know you two are on other flights, so traveling you will not be even, I don't believe, even to call in with your traveling schedules. Ms. Wilson is out of state, but she will be able to participate telephonically as well. In the event that I am delayed in a flight, Mr. Berrigan will run the meeting at that time, and I'll join telephonically.
So those are all standard agenda items, though?
They're standard
so
agenda items, and we have to have that July meeting.
Okay. Any other questions on the upcoming items? No? All right. Moving on, item 7A is summary of current events. Ms. Segata-Jones, what has been happening so far?
Just trying to get all of our classrooms and facilities ready for the returning of students. Also still working on hiring staff. The challenges are through special education staff. We're working hard with different agencies at this point, but Ms. Valadez, is in contact with her other colleagues in other districts, so it's across the board that it's special education trying to hire those. We do have some classroom vacancies still, and we still have some related arts vacancies, so we're working on those. We, with your approval, last board meeting of the executive director for our signature programs, we had already started that work, but we're really working on getting those off and running. You'll begin to see the phases of those. You'll see those promoted in the Glendale Star coming up, and then those partnerships and getting those off and running. So that's exciting for us. And in addition to that, we will be participating July 8th in Christmas in July. That is through the Downtown Historical Group, where they do an actual, the local merchants do an actual school supply drive for Glendale Elementary School District specifically. This year, we're going to use that as a marketing tool for us as well to promote our signature programs and increase enrollment with our students. So we will, since it's Christmas in July, we thought this year we're going to bring snow to the area and have kids there so that we can talk about our district and promote that. And so we're excited about that. That'll be happening. And we'll get you information on that. The other thing is GESD arrived. It got here last week. It's here. We have a check from somebody today that just bought some, so they're here. So we'll get those up and running. We're excited about that. And then also this week, Director of Communications Parsons and I were invited to Staples at 43rd and Camelback, and they awarded us with a $1,000 check and gift card to the district. So we'll think about how that can be used. So that was nice. They've redone all the Staples in the area in Arizona. Very nice. There's a whole section now for education, and they have a lot of services there. So we were kind of taken off guard by that, surprise. We didn't know. They invited us to go to their grand opening. We went, and glad we did. And through the chamber, we're glad. And we were really, everybody kept saying, oh, you're the ones getting the check. And we're kind of like, okay, okay. And so they did. So I would like us to step down and take a picture so we can tweet it out again with the board member, because I told them you would be excited about that. So if we could do that real quick, please. Other than that, President Martinez, members of the board, we have numerous staff that are traveling. They're at the PLC conference right now. And then we have next week, I believe, we have quite a large number of staff, teachers and administrators traveling to Orlando to the Kagan Strategy. So they're increasing their professional development. So we're very excited about that. Other than that, that ends my report.
All right. Great, thank you. Mr. Jaramillo, what's been going on?
I just came back from Las Vegas for a Young Leaders Convention, and it was fun. Got to network with young people from across the country, especially those from Connecticut, New York, Ohio, and California. We exchanged ideas as to how to improve our communities, and these people were impressive. Some people have worked on presidential campaigns, some work for the Attorney General's Office of Hawaii. I got to meet the Lieutenant Governor from Hawaii, and I met a U.S. Senator, I forgot her name, but she's from Nevada, and it was a great opportunity to exchange ideas and get advice, and I left with a wealth of information that I think can help our community as well. So that's what I did this past couple of days.
Sounds like a good time then. Ms. Pimentel.
I'm excited for GESDopoly, and I can't wait for us to play. This is a very competitive board here, and you see, we're going to have a good time playing this game. So when we were at the Summer Leadership Institute in Flagstaff, it would have been the most opportune time to sit and play, and we went to next door for sodas at the gas station, and they actually had a Route 66opoly. They stole our idea that we stole from somebody else. So ours is better, and we know that waiting at the train is a real thing. So that is jail for some of us. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to our signature schools. I think this is exciting, not just for us here, but I think it's exciting, an exciting opportunity for our kids and our families, so they can really get more inclusive with what they're doing with their education. So that's something exciting for me. Again, happy Father's Day to all the dads, the Theos, the grandfathers, and the moms that do it all. Hope you all had a great Sunday. Happy 4th of July. If you travel, please, please, please be safe, because we need you all here in the next month. Well, the next forever. But in the next month, it's going to be full court press. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Bartels.
All right, I'm just going to clarify. We didn't steal anything. We creative borrowed. We don't steal. But I am excited for the year coming up. I've been watching the different campuses and their Facebook posts about all the learning. There's a lot of energy going on around the country from our people. So I'm excited for that, and I can't wait to meet our new people when we have our breakfast drive-through kickoff to greet them to our family. So everybody have a great summer.
It's been a busy past few weeks. We started off in Flagstaff at the Leadership Institute for ASBA, which was an amazing time, amazing couple of days. I got to see and meet and talk with all the different board members from different school boards across the valley, and see what we like that they're doing, what they like that we're doing. And a big shout out to Liz, who was given many, many kudos by many, many people that I have no idea who they are, but they came out and said, "Oh, you're the guys that did the blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, and me and Brenda are looking at each other like, yeah, like we knew what they were talking about, but Liz knew what they were talking about, and she made sure that the way that we operate and what we do here and how we do business is a beacon of what I would call best practices for how things should operate. So thank you, Liz, for making us look good, even though we don't know it sometimes. But it was also a lot of fun to hang out with my fellow board members. Then I got back, and then I took off on vacation, and I came back on Monday night. And the worst thing about coming back from vacation is having to put on pants again. You don't realize how constricting they are. But one of the things I got before I went on vacation, I found this book. at Walmart, and it's the Images of America, and it's Glendale, and it was like $18. And it has all this picture history of the origins of Glendale, Arizona, and Saguaro Ranch, and Manistee, and their initial pictures of Landmark School is in here. Yep. They take up several pages with the original Landmark School and how it was created and what the thought processes went in and who were the original students. I highly recommend it. It's a great little, it's just all pictures and captions. There's no paragraphs of text or anything. So it's really easy to kind of get through. It's one of those, if I had to classify it, it's like a bathroom reading book. You know, you just pick up and start anywhere and you'll be fine. So I recommend that, and that'll be my 2 cents.
Great, thank you. You can get it at Walgreens also. I picked one up at Walgreens a while back, too. It's very interesting, It tells the history. Very proud of Glendale. So don't forget out there, y'all voting. Men are going for 4 years in a row. Yes, yes, yes. Good, thank you. All right, with that, that's all we have.
With that, that's all I have to share. Yes, ma'am.
Can I add one thing? At the Summer Leadership Institute, ASBA has their communication director. Her name is Heidi Vega. And Heidi is a product of our GESD schools. And she just got president of something that I can't remember. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Adriana.
Yeah. National School Public Relations Association. And she is not shy when it comes to uplifting our district. She is a product. She loves us. And she has a special connection to not only our superintendent, Cindy Sagata-Jones, but also with our Assistant Superintendent of Communications, Adriana Parsons. So
she was a former Landmark student when she
Yes.
came to middle school. I met Heidi when she was about 6 years old. She came to me 7 years old, was a first grade student when I taught. And I was at ASBA when I first became superintendent. And she is running down the walkway and she says, "Mrs. Gonzalez." And I turned around and she says, "Are you Mrs. Gonzalez?" I said, "Yes." She says, "You look the same." And I'm like, "You don't," in my head, because she was this, and I have no idea who she is. And she says, "I'm Heidi. I was in your first grade class. Remember the squiggle books?" I said, "Yeah, I remember." And then I'm thinking, "Oh man, she looks just like Heidi. The long hair and everything." So that's my connection with her. She's a remarkable young woman.
Yes, and so she is a product of our schools, and she is a product of what our kids can do, every single one of them, every day. So, and are doing. Yes, thank you. So just a shout out to her, and what a testament to not only what GESD is doing, but public schools.
Love it. Love it. All right. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.